Here's the complete timeline incorporating the 1930s through to the 9000s, reflecting the evolution of broadcast styles, technology, and viewer interaction in news opens, idents, stingers, news music, cold opens, and other broadcast elements. It also incorporates future projections for the decades leading into the 9000s. 1. 1930s, the birth of radio and early television news opens. Radio news segments begin with minimal musical cues and live reporting. News opens were simple, often just the announcer's voice. Ident, basic station call signs, for example, "This is WABG," were spoken, with little to no branding beyond the station's name. Stingers, short sound effects or quick musical cues that mark the transition to news broadcasts, often a brief sound bite or chime to signify importance. News music, music was simple, often using a piano or organ, with little to no customization. Music helped set the mood but was not overly complex. Cold opens were rare broadcasts often began abruptly with the news or an announcer's voice directly. Closes, a formal sign-off with brief station announcements, typically just a fade to silence or a closing jingle. Bumpers, not common yet, but some early stations might use brief music to signify transitions. Topicals/promo beds, very few, with simple announcements between programs. Utility tracks, not in use. Early broadcasts were very simple and focused on voice reporting. Billboards, small, local sponsorship mentions or live endorsements of radio programs. Station imaging packages, very basic, with minimal focus on branding beyond station names and call signs. Rejoins, station breaks were typically just brief announcements between segments or programs. Talent opens, talent intros were minimal, often just the announcer's name before the program began. Voice over history, live announcers with distinct voices were the core of broadcasting, serving both as anchors and narrators. 1940s, the golden age of radio and television's early years. News opens, news broadcasts started to include simple theme music and opening announcements to establish identity. Ident, early TV idents included basic visual elements, often just a test pattern or the station's call letters on screen. Stingers, short musical or sound effects segments began appearing between shows. News music, use of orchestral music and recognizable motifs for news programs, signaling serious and formal news content. Cold opens, more common as TV news began, often starting with the anchor speaking directly to the camera without an introduction. Closes, closing music was used to signal the end of a broadcast, often with the final message and goodnight to viewers. Bumpers, early bumper music became common during transitions between news and entertainment shows. Topicals/promo beds, early TV began to feature basic promotional music or voices announcing the next program. Utility tracks, simple background music during news segments and transitions. Billboards, sponsorships and program information were displayed as text on screen. Station imaging packages, minimal branding, focusing on call signs and local affiliation. Rejoins, quick breaks between shows, with announcers or music leading back into programming. Talent opens, simple talent introductions, often just the name of the anchor before starting the news. Voice over history, radio announcers gained prominence, with unique vocal styles for news, commercials, and station imaging. 1950s-1960s, the age of network television. News opens, iconic news themes and bold intros using orchestral music, establishing a grand sense of authority. Ident, TV idents became more polished, incorporating visual elements like logos, graphics, and sound to enhance brand identity. Stingers, the introduction of distinct stingers for network identification and news breaks, using dramatic orchestral or jazz music. News music, use of brass-heavy, dramatic orchestral compositions, which emphasize the seriousness of news. Cold opens, anchors began introducing stories directly without fanfare, but some programs used cold opens to present a quick, dramatic snippet before getting into the details. Closes, the end of the news segments with music and announcements, often followed by a commercial break or transition to the next program. Bumpers, music and sound effects to bridge segments, used effectively between different programming or news blocks. Topicals/promo beds. Stations began using promo music beds for next-day teasers or upcoming programming. Utility tracks, low-key background music that continued to be used for news and documentary programming. Billboards, early sponsorships and program endorsements began to include music and animation to increase viewer engagement. Station imaging packages, networks developed fully branded station imaging, often featuring iconic logos and theme music. Rejoins. Rejoins were short musical sequences or vocal transitions back into programming. Talent opens. Talent was introduced with music and screen graphics, with anchors receiving more personality-based introductions. Voice-over history. Voice-over became integral to commercials and station identification, with announcers who were famous for their distinctive voices. 1970s–1980s. The rise of cable and modern broadcasting. News opens. News segments featured signature theme music, sometimes with dramatic opening sequences or montages. Idents were flashy, with increasingly complex logos and station visuals. This period saw the rise of motion idents, where logos appeared dynamically. Stingers. Dramatic musical cues became common at the beginning and end of news breaks. News music. Iconic news themes, such as those by John Williams or other composers, became associated with national networks and high-stakes news. Cold opens. Cold opens became increasingly elaborate, sometimes featuring dramatic video clips of breaking news. Closes. Closing music became more emotional, often accompanied by station sponsorship or programming notes. Bumpers, used for transitions between major segments, often with high-energy music or jingles. Topicals/promo beds. Promo music became more complex and used in ways that directly appealed to the audience's interest. Utility tracks. More nuanced utility tracks were introduced for different news segments, matching the tone of the reporting. Billboards. Billboards now incorporated more visual flair, including program countdowns and station logos. Station imaging packages. The 80s marked the rise of comprehensive station imaging, where the station's entire brand was communicated with strong visuals and memorable jingles. Rejoins. Rejoins featured more polished, energetic music to maintain audience attention. Talent opens. Introductions grew more dramatic, sometimes featuring video clips or music that matched the anchor's persona. Voice-over history. More scripted and highly stylized voice-overs for promos, news, and station branding emerged, with voice actors becoming celebrities in their own right. 1990s–2000s, digital revolution and 24/7 news. News opens, high energy, fast-paced, and digitally enhanced news intros, often featuring computer-generated graphics and intense music. Idents became sleek and modern, with digital transitions and 3D graphics becoming standard. Stingers. Short, punchy stingers used to punctuate news stories and highlight breaking updates. News music. Use of synth-heavy news music, with dynamic and evolving arrangements tailored for dramatic effect. Cold opens. Cold opens began using fast edits and attention-grabbing graphics to introduce breaking news or highlight major stories. Closes. Fast, clean closes often incorporated upcoming story teasers or digital links to social media. Bumpers, used as brief transitions with energetic music, often including clips of the next segment or a call to action. Topicals/promo beds. Network-level promo beds began to incorporate louder, more aggressive music and graphics to promote their 24/7 programming. Utility tracks. More dynamic background music used for diverse types of news stories, from breaking news to feature pieces. Billboards. Billboards became more common and integrated, appearing in TV ads, digital screens, and even as interactive web-based ads. Station imaging packages. Imaging packages were digital, fast-paced, and focused on brand recognition across multiple platforms. Rejoins. Rejoins were high-energy, often accompanied by fast cuts and engaging music. Talent opens. Anchors were introduced with short, high-impact visuals, featuring more personality-driven openers. Voice-over history. The rise of digital voice-over technology allowed for the creation of faster, more versatile announcers, including AI-generated voices for a digital media. 6. 2020s 2050s, interactive, personalized, and AI-driven broadcasting news opens, fully immersive, AI-generated news opens with real-time data integration and personalized viewer experiences, tailored to individual preferences. Ident, hyper-personalized station idents, dynamically generated based on viewers' location and interests. Stingers, interactive stingers, changing in real time based on the story's mood or viewer interaction. News music, AI-driven adaptive news music that changes dynamically based on the content and emotional tone of the broadcast. Cold opens, highly personalized cold opens, featuring augmented reality, AR, and holographic elements. Closes, viewers can select their own closing sequences or follow links to more information or related stories. Bumpers become fully interactive, allowing viewers to directly influence the content or interact with it in real time. Topicals/promo beds, customizable promos, tailored to each viewer's personal content preferences or location. Utility tracks fully integrate into the programming, with adaptive background music for each segment. Billboards, completely interactive, with live updates and personalized ads based on viewer data. Station imaging packages, immersive imaging packages that use holograms, VR, and AR to create the seamless broadcasting experience. Rejoins, fully personalized replays or transitions based on viewer preferences, including interactive content options. Talent opens, fully immersive talent intros, potentially featuring virtual or AI-generated avatars. Voice-over history, AI-generated voice-overs have replaced most traditional human announcers, with voices that are tailored to each viewer's preferences and even real-time reactions. 7. 9000s, fully autonomous media universe news opens, quantum media allows every individual to experience their own unique news open, tailored in real time based on their emotional state, preferences, and even health data. Idents are completely personalized and interactive, adapting not only to the station but to the viewer's current mood and context. Stingers are multisensory experiences, incorporating touch, sight, and sound tailored to every individual's interaction with the broadcast. News music, fully adaptive and responsive, composed in real time based on the emotional tone of the broadcast and the specific viewer's needs. Cold opens are immersive VR experiences, with the news literally taking place around the viewer in real time. Closes, the concept of closing segments no longer exists. Viewers choose when to leave the broadcast, and the experience continues seamlessly across multiple platforms. Bumpers have evolved into full sensory experiences, where viewers interact directly with content using advanced interfaces. Topicals/promo beds, promotional content is fully personalized, dynamically created for each individual viewer using quantum computing. Utility tracks are synthesized based on real-time feedback, responding to physiological cues from the viewer. Billboards, interactive billboards with real-time data allow complete integration of global information and user-driven content. Station imaging packages, imaging is now part of a fully interactive media ecosystem, with viewers able to manipulate content in real time. Rejoins feature interactive AI-generated transitions, changing based on live feedback and interactions from viewers. Talent opens are fully customizable, with anchors becoming AI-generated avatars that can change to fit the needs of each individual viewer. Voice-over history, voice-overs are entirely AI-driven, customized not just for content but also for the viewer's emotional state and preferences. This extended timeline reflects how broadcast technologies have evolved and will likely continue evolving over the centuries. From radio and television's humble beginnings to the advanced, AI-driven, immersive broadcasts of the 9000s, the experience of watching or listening to news will continually adapt to fit the needs of viewers in increasingly personalized ways. For many,